Let us discuss about the newer macrolides, that is clarithromycin, azithromycin, roxithromycin, and telithromycin. So we have seen the macrolides, the discovery of macrolide antibiotic, that is erythromycin, in 1952. This was a major breakthrough in antimicrobial therapy, and also spiramycin, which was introduced in 1955. Now, to overcome the limitations of erythromycin, like erythromycin, we know that it is a narrow spectrum and it has gastric intolerance, it is acid labile, it has low oral bioavailability, poor tissue penetration, and short half life. So, to overcome the limitations of erythromycin, the newer macrolides, so these are the semi synthetic macrolides which are introduced, and among them, we have the azalides, that is the clarithromycin, azithromycin, and roxithromycin, which were introduced from 1970. Clarithromycin was introduced, and then azithromycin in 1980, and roxithromycin in 1987. Also, among the newer macrolides, we have a addition of the ketolide, telithromycin, which was introduced in 2004. Now, clarithromycin and azithromycin is we know that these are the semi-synthetic derivatives of erythromycins, and since their discovery, these macrolides, they have been used for a variety of infections, with the gram-positive cocci. So we have seen that they are widely used for treatment of gram-positive infections caused by Streptococcus pneumoniae, Streptococcus pyogenes, and staphylococci. And also, they are useful against certain atypical organisms like the Mycoplasma pneumoniae, Legionella, and the intracellular pathogens such as the chlamydia. Now, neomacrolides, we have seen these drugs. They are as we know that they are the semi-synthetic derivatives of erythromycin. They are resistant to the acid hydrolysis and they are absorbed better, having higher tissue levels. They have longer duration of action and therefore they can be given once daily. And they have a broader spectrum of activity. Like we can see, these group of drugs, they are effective against H. influenzae, Moraxella catarrhalis, Toxoplasma gondii, and the Mycobacterium avium complex. So we can see that because of the various advantages of the newer macrolides, that is, they are better tolerated, having broader spectrum of activity, and increasingly they are being used for treatment of the upper respiratory tract infection and lower respiratory tract infection. So the newer macrolides, the use of these newer macrolides is growing, and we are increasingly these group of drugs are being used. The newer agents like azithromycin and clarithromycin, they are very effective against the H. influenzae and Moraxella catarrhalis. And as we know, these organisms, these are increasingly reported that they are responsible for we are getting the worldwide reports of the resistant respiratory tract infections. Now coming to the chemical structure of these macrolides, we are already aware of the chemical structure of erythromycin, where we can see on the left side, this is the macrocyclic lactone ring. And on the other side, there is attached to the ring, there are the sugars, desosamine and the cladinose. So this is the 14-membered ring structure of the erythromycin. And macrolides, they are these antibiotics, and this erythromycin, this has having a large lactone ring with the attached sugar. And because it has a large lactone ring, the meaning of the word macro means large. So the name is given to these group of antibiotics as macrolides because of the large lactone ring. Now, erythromycin, clarithromycin, roxithromycin, and telithromycin, these macrolides, they are 14-membered ring structure, and to which there is attachment of one or more sugars. For that matter, azithromycin is a 15-membered ring structure and spiramycin is a 16-membered ring structure. Now, clarithromycin is a 14-membered ring structure, just like erythromycin, and it differs from erythromycin only. There is methylation of the hydroxyl group at the 6th position. So you can see the structure of clarithromycin. There is methylation of the hydroxyl group at the 6th position. And azithromycin, it is a 15-membered ring structure. It differs from the structure of erythromycin. And there is an addition of the methyl substituted nitrogen atom into the lactone ring. So there is a substitution of the nitrogen in the macrolide ring. So this is the structure of the azithromycin. So, and if you see telithromycin is also a 14-membered ring like the erythromycin, but the difference from erythromycin is telithromycin, there is a substitution of the 3-keto group for the cladinose sugar group. So the cladinose, instead of the cladinose sugar, you are having the 3-keto group. So that is the structure of telithromycin, which is a ketolide. And ketolides, they are also 14-membered ring structure like the erythromycin. So among the azelides, we know there is clarithromycin, azithromycin, and roxithromycin. And these azelides, they are the class of macrolide antibiotics which contain nitrogen in the macrolide ring. As we know, azithromycin is a pure azelite. It has a nitrogen in the macrolide ring. And because of this structural modification, the advantages of this structural modification gives us, there is improvement in the acid stability, there is improvement in tissue penetration, there is broader spectrum of activity, and there is longer T-half. So we are getting a lot of pharmacokinetic advantages, and there is greater stability of the drug molecule because of all this structural modification. So coming to clarithromycin, the antibacterial spectrum resembles that of erythromycin, and it is very effective against the H. influenzae, Neisseria gonorrhea, Legionella, pneumophily, chlamydia, and against the Mycobacterium avium complex, that is the MAC infections. The action of clarithromycin is even better than the azithromycin. It is also effective against other atypical mycobacteria, and also it is effective against the Mycobacterium leprae. Besides, against H. pylori, that is Helicobacter pylori, which is responsible for causing the recurrent peptic ulcers, clarithromycin is more active against the H. pylori. Also, it is very effective against Moraxella, against Legionella, against Mycoplasma pneumoniae, also against certain sensitive strains of the gram-positive cocci. So, clarithromycin, the antibacterial spectrum is very clear, and we can see that it is effective against a broad range of the organisms. As far as the pharmacokinetics is concerned, it is rapidly absorbed from the gut, and it is more acid stable than the erythromycin. It has a longer T-half, about 12 hours, so it is suitable for twice daily dosing. It has a better tissue penetrability, and food delays its absorption. So we can see that the bioavailability of the drug is affected by the food. So mostly these drugs are to be taken on an empty stomach. The oral bioavailability is about 50%. Active metabolite is produced. So this metabolite is 14-hydroxyclarithromycin. So we can see clarithromycin can be given twice daily. No dose modification is required in liver and kidney disease because the clarithromycin is excreted by renal and extrarenal mechanisms. The dose of the drug, it is available as a tablet 250 milligram and 500 milligram. So the drug can be given twice daily for 7 days. And in severe cases, 500 milligram twice daily can be given for a period of 14 days. Also, the dry syrup is available in a dose of 125 milligram per 5 ml. So we can see as far as the adverse effect and drug interactions are concerned, the side effects of clarithromycin are similar to erythromycin, and clarithromycin, as far as drug interactions are concerned, clarithromycin inhibits the cytochrome CYP3A4 enzyme, and the drug interaction potential is similar to the erythromycin. Now, coming to the uses of these clarithromycin is indicated in upper and lower respiratory tract infections, in sinusitis, otitis media, and whooping cough, in atypical pneumonia. In skin and skin structure infections due to the Streptococcus pyogenes and Staphylococcus aureus. To eradicate the H. pylori, clarithromycin is used as a component of the triple drug regimen along with lansoprazole and amoxicillin. There is eradication of H. pylori you can achieve eradication within 1 to 2 weeks. As far as the Mycobacterium avium complex infection in AIDS patient, it is a first line drug in combination regime for treating the MAC infection in AIDS patient. And it is useful in treatment of atypical mycobacteria and also as a second line drug for other atypical mycobacterial diseases. And also, last but not the least, it is also useful in leprosy. Now coming to azithromycin. Azithromycin is an azalite congener of erythromycin. And the antibacterial spectrum, azithromycin is more active than other macrolides against the H. influenzae. Also, it has very high activity against certain respiratory pathogens like the Mycoplasma, Chlamydia pneumoniae, Legionella, Moraxella, and also against other organisms like the Campylobacter, Chlamydia trachomatis, and the Neisseria gonorrhea. However, we must remember that azithromycin is not active against the erythromycin-resistant bacteria. Again, if we see the various salient features of azithromycin, it has an expanded spectrum, it has an improved pharmacokinetics, it is acid stable, it has rapid oral absorption from the empty stomach, it has larger tissue distribution, also a good intracellular penetration. So because of the good pharmacokinetics, improved pharmacokinetics, also because of high tolerability, it has a good tolerability, and because of its metabolic stability, and because of its drug interaction profile. If you see the drug interaction profile, azithromycin does not affect the hepatic cytochrome 3A4 enzyme. So the potential for drug interaction is very less with the azithromycin. So because of all these advantages, this makes the position of azithromycin, it's very useful drug as a newer macrolide, having all these kinetic advantages as well as it is better tolerated and it has an expanded spectrum, and also the drug interaction profile is also very good. And if you see the kinetics, it is largely excreted in the bile. And if you see the dose, it is available as capsule, 250 milligram and 500 milligram, which can be given once daily. Also, as far as adverse effects are concerned, only mild gastric upset and abdominal pain. But this abdominal pain is less than erythromycin. Also, some headache and dizziness, these are reported. So, few adverse effects are reported with azithromycin. So, if we see the uses of azithromycin, it is very useful in Legionnaires pneumonia. It is used as a 500 milligram once daily orally or intravenously for 2 weeks. And other drugs like erythromycin and fluoroquinolones, they are also other alternatives for treating the Legionnaires pneumonia. And besides this, it is effective in chlamydia infection, in Chlamydia trachomatis, Also, the uncomplicated urethritis and cervicitis, which is associated with the chlamydia trachomatis, it is useful. And in genital infection in both men and women, single dose 1 gram is a curative dose for the treating the non-specific urethritis due to the chlamydia trachomatis. Also, it is useful as a 3 weekly doses in the lymphogranuloma venereum, and also it is the drug of choice for chlamydia pneumonia. And azithromycin is also preferred over tetracycline for the treatment of trachoma in the eye. Also, it is useful for the upper and lower respiratory tract infections in cases of pharyngitis, tonsillitis, sinusitis, otitis media, community acquired pneumonia, and also the acute exacerbation of the chronic bronchitis. In skin and soft tissue infections also, it is useful. In gonorrhea, that is penicillinase producing Neisseria gonorrhea, urethritis, or the chancroid due to the Haemophilus ducreae. So in this, the azithromycin single 1 gram dose is highly curative, and sometimes you can combine it with the ceftriaxone. It is useful as a prophylaxis and treatment of the MAC infection, Mycobacterium avium complex infection in the AIDS patient. And last but not the least, it is effective in typhoid, especially the multi-drug resistant typhoid, and especially in those patients who are allergic to the cephalosporins. Also in toxoplasmosis, it is useful, and in malaria. So these are the different uses of azithromycin. And because of the higher efficacy, better gastric tolerance, and convenient once daily dosing, azithromycin is now preferred over erythromycin as a first choice drug for most of these infections. So these are the different indications of azithromycin. Coming to roxithromycin, this is a semi-synthetic, longer acting acid stable macrolide, and it is a substituted erythromycin. It has an antibacterial spectrum and use which is similar to erythromycin. And the pharmacokinetics, it has a good enteral absorption. It is rapidly absorbed from the gut with a bioavailability of 50%. Food interferes with its absorption. So it is better to give the drug in an empty stomach or at least 30 minutes before the meals. There is better tissue penetration. And as far as affinity for the cytochrome P450 is concerned, this is lower. And because of this, it has a lower potential for the drug interactions. The plasma half-life is about 12 hours. So this drug, we can have the twice daily dosing of the roxithromycin. And it has better gastric tolerability. The adverse effects, they are similar to erythromycin. Although it is claimed, roxithromycin is claimed to be better tolerated drug. And as far as the dosing is concerned, it is available as 150 milligram and 300 milligram dose. And it is given twice daily, 30 minutes before the meals for a period of 10 days. And it is indicated as an alternative to erythromycin. It is indicated for certain ENT infections, ear, throat infections, for the upper and lower respiratory tract infections, for the non-gonococcal genitourinary infections, skin and soft tissue infections, as well as for the orodental infections. Now coming to telithromycin, this is a ketolide which was introduced in 2004. And telithromycin is a ketolide congener of erythromycin, and we know this is a 14-membered ring structure like erythromycin, but it differs from erythromycin in the substitution of the 3 keto group for the sugar, that is the cladinose. So because of this structural modification, there are various advantages of the ketolides, and this is that these ketolites, they are poor substrate for the efflux pump mediated resistance. You know, erythromycin develops resistance because of these. It gets pumped out as from the there is a efflux of the erythromycin due to the pump mechanism, and this is responsible for resistance. So telithromycin, if you see, this is a poor substrate for the efflux pump mediated resistance. So this is one advantage being provided because of the structural modification. And also the ketolites, secondly, they also bind to the ribosomes with higher affinity than the macrolides. So these are the advantages, and the ketolites, they are not destroyed by the inactivating enzymes. So these are different advantages because of the chemical modification. So we can see that the mechanism of action and the antibacterial spectrum is similar, and although the telithromycin, the ketolites, they have a more higher affinity for the 50S ribosomal subunit. They are active against many penicillin and erythromycin resistant organisms. So many penicillin resistant organisms and erythromycin resistant organisms like Streptococcus pneumoniae, Bacteria fragilis, and certain non-tuberculous mycobacteria. So against these organisms, the telithromycin is very effective. As far as kinetics is concerned, it is 60% bioavailability is there, or when once it is given orally, it has a good tissue penetration. It is eliminated in urine and bile, and it has a T-half of 12 hours. As far as drug interactions are concerned, this is one issue. It inhibits the cytochrome 3A4 enzyme, and therefore, just like erythromycin, it has the potential to prolong the QTC interval. You know, if it is given with drugs, other drugs which prolong the QTC interval, so these drug interactions are possible. As far as the side effects are concerned, telithromycin causes abdominal pain, nausea, diarrhea, taste disturbances. And there are reports of serious hepatitis, because of which the clinical use is restricted to the community acquired pneumonia, which is due to Streptococcus pneumoniae, sinusitis, exacerbation of the chronic bronchitis, and streptococcal pharyngitis, which is resistant to other macrolides. And if you see the dosage, it is available as 400 milligram tablet, and it can be given 800 milligram once daily, not more than 7 to 10 days. Two other ketolites, that is cethromycin, which is effective orally, and solithromycin, which is effective orally as well as by intravenous parenteral injections. So these are the other ketolites which are under evaluation for treatment of infection due to the macrolide resistant organisms, including the streptococci and the enterococci. Now let us see the comparative properties of the macrolides, and so we can have a summary of all these macrolides, azelides and ketolides. As we know, erythromycin, it is obtained from Streptomyces erythraeus, whereas roxithromycin, clarithromycin, azithromycin, and telithromycin, these are the semi-synthetic derivatives of erythromycin. Then erythromycin is having narrow spectrum, and it is acid labile, as well as the oral absorption, if you see, it is incomplete, and it has a duration of action which is short, because of which it is given 4 times daily, QID. You can see it is given as a 6-hourly interval. Although the T-half is 1.5 hours, but the drug persists in the tissues for a longer time, and so we have action varying from 2 to 6 hours. So this drug is given 6-hourly, that is 4 times a day, and it has a specific adverse effect, that is hepatotoxicity, especially because of the acetolate salt. So we have seen that hepatotoxicity is caused by the acetolate salt, and this hepatotoxicity is manifested as acute cholestatic hepatitis and jaundice. So basically, this is the allergic manifestation, and the incidence of this hepatotoxicity is increased in the pregnant women. Although there is a relative contraindication of erythromycin in the hepatic dysfunction. As far as the drug in pregnancy is concerned, although this erythromycin is supposed to be safe in pregnancy, and besides this issue which is there with the astrolate salt, and for that matter, the other macrolides like clarithromycin, the safety in pregnancy and lactation is not known. So, so this is the picture of erythromycin. And as far as cytochrome 3A4 inhibition and drug interactions are concerned, we can see that erythromycin as well as clarithromycin and telithromycin, all of them, they interact with the cytochrome 3A4, and therefore drug interaction potential is there if you combine it with drugs which prolong the QTC interval. So these are possible, as well as roxithromycin also drug interaction potential is there, although it is low because the affinity for the cytochrome is very low, it is weak. So the drug interaction potential with roxithromycin is less. But with azithromycin, if you see, the drug interaction potential is not there because it does not interact with the cytochrome 3A4. Although caution is still to be maintained when using the azithromycin in combination with other drugs which are known to interact with erythromycin. Then if we see the roxithromycin, this is, if you see the effect of gastric acid, it is resistant. So it means that it is more acid stable drug, and erythromycin is acid labile. Then the dosing of roxithromycin, you can see the duration of action is intermediate. So we are giving it twice daily, 150 milligram twice daily or 300 milligram twice daily, and it is given 30 minutes before meal. Why it is given 30 minutes before meal? Because the food can interfere with its absorption and it can reduce the bioavailability of the drug. And the T half of roxithromycin is about 12 hours, as we have seen, and this makes it suitable for twice daily dosing. Then coming to clarithromycin, you can see clarithromycin is effective. Antibacterial spectrum is same like erythromycin, and it is also effective against the MAC infection, against Toxoplasma gondii, H. pylori, and Mycobacterium leprae. And it is having good bioavailability, and it is also given twice daily, and as 250 to 500 milligram dose can be given twice daily for a period of 1 to 2 weeks. And as far as azithromycin is concerned, you can see azithromycin is effective against MAC infections, against Toxoplasma gondii, against H. influenzae, salmonella, that is against organism causing the typhoid, as well as in malaria, it is effective against the plasmodium. So you can see that it has a long duration of action. You see the duration of action of azithromycin, it is long. This is because the concentration of azithromycin in the tissues, it is more than the plasma, and there is slow release of azithromycin from the intracellular sites. And because of this slow release, it contributes to its long T half, and the T half is about more than 50 hours. So you can give 500 milligram dose of the azithromycin once daily. Once daily is enough, and it is given 1 hour before or 2 hours after the meal. And as far as drug interaction are concerned, azithromycin does not affect the hepatic cytochrome 3A4 enzyme, and therefore interaction with theophylline, carbamazepine, warfarin, as well as the terfenadine, cisapride, these drugs which have the potential of prolonging the QTC interval. So this interaction with these drugs does not occur, and therefore, so we can see all macrolides, they cause the drug interaction except the azithromycin. Then telithromycin, we can see it is having a spectrum same like clarithromycin, azithromycin. In addition, telithromycin is effective against strains which are resistant to the other macrolides and agelites, including the Staphylococcus aureus and Streptococcus pneumoniae. So macrolide resistant strains, agelite resistant strains, those strains are also, they can be taken care of by telithromycin. And it has a long duration of action. Telithromycin has a long duration of action, and it is available as 400 milligram dosage, and it can be given as 800 milligram once daily for not more than 7 to 10 days. And so these are the different things about the thing. As well as hepatotoxicity is concerned, we have seen hepatotoxicity occurring with erythromycin by the acetonate salt. The rest of the drugs are not so hepatotoxic. There is less hepatotoxicity with roxithromycin, clarithromycin, and azithromycin. But as far as telithromycin is concerned, reports of severe hepatitis has taken place with telithromycin. So this should be kept in mind. Now coming to the recent advance in macrocyclic antibiotics, fidaxomicin. This is one drug which is a latest antibacterial approved in 2011. And fidaxomicin is a macrocyclic antibiotic, and it has a specific indication for Clostridium difficile associated diarrhea. Antibiotic associated, repeated use of antibiotic. These antibiotics, they affect the normal flora. So sometimes the super infection. So antibiotic associated infections, super infections can take place. This is the antibiotic associated Clostridium difficile infections which take place. And for this, you treat it by giving the metronidazole or vancomycin. Now, fidaxomicin is one drug which is again introduced for treating this Clostridium difficile associated diarrhea. And it is seen that the rate of recurrence of Clostridium difficile is lower with fidaxomicin as compared to the vancomycin in clinical trials. And so fidaxomicin is a preferred drug in case of recurrence. If there is a recurrence of Clostridium difficile associated diarrhea, then fidaxomicin is the preferred drug in cases of the recurrence. The mechanism of action is a bactericidal drug, and it inhibits the bacterial RNA polymerase, and it is not absorbed following the oral administration, and therefore systemic side effects are less, and it also does not affect the normal flora of the lower gastrointestinal tract because it does not show any activity against the gram-negative organisms. And as far as the status regarding resistance is concerned, there is low rate of Clostridium difficile resistance, as well as there is no cross resistance with the other antibacterials. So we can summarize that the macrolides like erythromycin and the azelides like clarithromycin, azithromycin, and roxithromycin, and ketolides like telithromycin, they are effective for respiratory infections due to the Streptococcus pneumoniae, Haemophilus influenzae, and atypical pneumonia caused by Chlamydia, Mycoplasma, and Legionella. These macrolides, they are well tolerated and they are orally effective, as well as all of them are cytochrome 3A4 inhibitors like roxithromycin, then clarithromycin, as well as telithromycin, except azithromycin, azellite. Most of them are cytochrome 3A4 inhibitors. Therefore, they lead to significant drug interactions. That is, because they will inhibit the metabolism of other drug, concurrent drug given along with them. So they may raise the concentration of drugs like warfarin and theophylline, and this can lead to toxicity. Erythromycin also does not cause such interaction. Now, erythromycin is another semi-synthetic macrolide glycopeptide antibiotic, and it is more lipid soluble, and it is a prodrug of erythromycillamine. This is another antibiotic. So it's a prodrug of this drug, and this erythromycin, it is similar to erythromycin with minor difference. That is, it has got better activity against the Campylobacter jejuni. It is more acid stable than erythromycin, and it has a longer duration of action. That is, it is effective as a 500 milligram dose given once daily. But this erythromycin also does not cause any interaction. So this is another example of a macrolide other than azithromycin. But this drug is available only in European countries, and it is not available in US. Therefore, to conclude, we can say that both the azithromycin and clarithromycin, they are highly effective against the Mycobacterium avium complex, that is the MAC infections. Although clarithromycin is better than azithromycin in MAC infections, and both of them are effective against other atypical mycobacteria and Toxoplasma gondii infections. Azithromycin also has good activity against the H. influenzae, Salmonella, and Plasmodium. As we have seen, it is effective against multi-drug resistant typhoid, and also it is effective against malaria caused by the Plasmodium. Clarithromycin is also active against H. pylori, that is Helicobacter pylori, and for this it is the macrolide of choice against the H. pylori, and it is also effective against Mycobacterium leprae. Azithromycin is again a drug which is preferred for treating the Chlamydia trachomatis infection. And last but not the least, telithromycin, which is a ketolide, it is effective against organisms, especially those organisms which are resistant to the other macrolides and azelides. So those organisms which are resistant, especially the penicillin resistant and the erythromycin resistant organisms like the Streptococcus pneumoniae, Bacteria fragilis, and the non-tuberculous Mycobacteria.